Some thoughts from here in Knoxville after the series of vigils I held here at the cathedral in Knoxville and also at St. Mary's Church in Gatlinburg. It was a good weekend. I think we accomplished a lot. We got the attention of a lot of people, a lot of Catholics. We even ended up on the news on WVLT here in Knoxville, which I thought was really interesting. We've had some difficulty getting press coverage here in Knoxville, and getting on WVLT was a real accomplishment. Again, I was holding vigils both in Gatlinburg and here at the cathedral in Knoxville. I was joined by some folks who were a little louder, a little more enthusiastic. I appreciated their company. They were a little more protesty, but ultimately the hope was to get people to understand that a problem exists still within the Catholic Church, as exemplified by the problems here in the Diocese of Knoxville, the problems with Bishop Rick Sticca, the Bishop of Knoxville. Probably the best way to sum up what's going on and the root cause of my concerns, the reason for my concerns, is an attitude of priestly supremacy. The idea that priests matter more than anyone else, than ordinary people. You can see this in the J.D. Flynn Pillar Catholic articles that he published about what's going on here in Knoxville, especially the most recent articles which talk about the Kathleen Porterfield case, where Bishop Sticca goes on and on about how Kathleen Porterfield, in coming forward with her story, has ruined a priest's life. Well, excuse me, but what about the life of the survivor that was, if not ruined, impacted significantly, permanently, for the rest of their life? I would argue, I believe, that the lives of ordinary people, of lay people, lay Catholics and others, because remember, the risk isn't just to Catholics, it's to the entire community. As you can see what's going on in St. Louis with the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczak, the entire community is being put at risk by these very much ongoing, hard to say they're any different from the 1970s and the 80s and the worst of the bad old days, attitudes of the Catholic Church, its bishops, and its priests. Again, the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczak involves his being shuffled around from school to school, from seminary to seminary. Now Sobczak is in St. Louis, taking classes at St. Louis University, posing only God knows what kind of a threat to the gay community in St. Louis, the St. Louis University community, and the entire St. Louis community. It's that level of indifference that is the problem, and that has me concerned, and that has me coming back here to Knoxville for a third time. And I think there are a lot of people who want things to be better, who want things to be over. To them, I would say, if things are so much better, truly, actually, then why do I keep standing vigil? Why do I, and now we, keep standing vigil? I and we are standing vigil because things are not better actually. Too much of what the Catholic Church has talked about, this includes the Dallas Charter of 2002, Vos Estis Lux Mundi, the Pope's Bill of Rights for Survivors, and the law that held bishops accountable and which expired just recently after a 3-year experimental term. Too much of that is just talk. It's not being enforced, and as a result, people are being put at risk by the Catholic Church. Still, there are things that I know that have me concerned deeply and that keep me coming back here to Knoxville. I can't talk about all of them, but I hope you would understand that my standing vigil is an indication that things are not getting better. I'm a survivor. I understand what's going on. I am concerned. I believe, I know that things are not getting better in the Catholic Church, not significantly. Too much of what's going on is just talk. I know that from my own experience with Vos Estis Lux Mundi, trying to get help from the Catholic Church in the Archdiocese of St. Louis. If things were so much better, if things are so much better, then why do I keep coming back to Knoxville? That's really the thing that you should be asking yourself. If things are so much better, if things are as much better as the Catholic Church says, as Bishop Rick Sticka says, as Pope Francis says, then why do I, a survivor who knows more about this than almost anyone, why do I keep coming back to Knoxville? Obviously, there's something wrong here. Still, despite everything, despite the 2002 Dallas Charter, despite Vos Estis Lux Mundi, not enough is changing, and in truth, very little is changing in the Catholic Church, because the hearts of the priests of the Catholic Church are not changing, and certainly the hearts of the bishops of the Catholic Church, the cabal that runs the Catholic Church, the hierarchy of the Catholic Church, are not changing. They do not have a human view of the laity of people, and that's a problem. And that's why I'm here in Knoxville, and why I keep coming back to Knoxville, and why I will keep coming back to Knoxville. And I'm sure there are people who think that the traditionalist movement is going to fix everything. I don't have any faith in that, because, you know, I've talked to traditionalists, and they really believe, they really couldn't care less about survivors. All they care about is the church and saving the church, and their plan is to be here when the church falls. But they believe that the church is going to fall, and they're doing very little to prevent that fall. They're doing very little to address the indifference and the hypocrisy that's manifested in the treatment of survivors by the Catholic Church. That's why I, as a survivor, and we as survivors, are taking control of things, are taking charge of things, and working to drive change. We're doing it not because we hate the church, but because we love the church. I'm not in the church largely. As I say, I've got my pinky toe in the church, but I do believe in the promise of the Catholic Church. I believe in the origins of the Catholic Church, but I'm very disappointed in the Catholic Church, in particular in its leadership. People like Bishop Rick Sticka here in Knoxville, and then others, and that includes so many cardinals. Cardinal Timothy Dolan, who knew of and turned a blind eye to my and our abuse at Immaculata in St. Louis. Cardinal Sean O'Malley, who sent me this nice, fluffy, kissy-kissy letter about Vos Estis Lux Mundi that produced nothing in terms of change. Pope Francis, who's just talked, you know, who passed this very nice law called Vos Estis Lux Mundi, but refuses to enforce it. That's a problem. And it will be the death of the Catholic Church. The way to solve that problem, way to address that problem, isn't to enable the Catholic Church. Instead, the way to solve that problem, to address the problem, is to let it know, let the Catholic Church know, let its priests know, let its bishops know, let Pope Francis know when it is screwing up. And the Catholic Church is screwing up. It continues to screw up. The 2002 Dallas Charter isn't being followed. As the case of the seminarian Wojciech Sobczak from Knoxville makes all too clear, Vos Estis Lux Mundi, Pope Francis' Bill of Rights for Survivors, is a sham, as I know all too well as a survivor who sought help from the Archdiocese of St. Louis and the Catholic Church under Vos Estis and has received nothing positive. The way to show your love for the Catholic Church isn't to enable the Catholic Church. Rather, the way to show your love for the Catholic Church is to let it know when it's screwing up. And that's what I'm doing here in Knoxville. That's what we are doing here in Knoxville. And that's why I'm going to keep coming back to Knoxville until the problem is solved. It's very difficult. It's no fun. I get freaked out every time I come here, but it beats hanging from a cross. And that's really fundamentally what this is about. This is about following the example of Jesus Christ. If Jesus Christ can do what he did, entering Jerusalem on Palm Sunday to a certain fate, then you and I and we can do this. And not only can we do this, we must do this for the good of society and for the good of the Catholic Church.